The night my husband died, my sister was the one holding me together. If you had walked into the hospital hallway that night, you would have seen Rachel Carter sitting beside me with her arms wrapped around my shaking body, whispering soft words of comfort. "Emily, breathe, I'm here. You're not alone." Everyone thought she was the perfect sister, the devoted younger sibling who stood by her older sister after tragedy struck. And for most of my life, I believed that too. But the truth is, the night my husband died was not the night my life fell apart. It was the night Rachel's plan finally succeeded. And I didn't even know it yet. 15 years earlier, after our parents died in a car crash, Rachel and I became everything to each other. I was 22. Rachel was 14. While other girls my age were building careers and dating, I was working double shifts and raising a teenage girl who cried every night for our mother. Rachel was fragile then, broken. I promised her something on the day of the funeral. "I'll never let anything bad happen to you again." I meant it. Every sacrifice I made after that was for her. Years later, when I finally built Carter and Vale Consulting, a thriving family financial advisory firm in Chicago, Rachel was the first person I brought in. I made her my partner, my sister, my family. People admired us. They called us the Carter sisters who built an empire from grief. And then Daniel Carter walked into my life. Daniel was charming, brilliant, and supportive. He believed in my business from the moment we met. Rachel adored him too. At least, that's what I thought. The night of the accident, Daniel had been driving home from a business dinner. A truck slammed into his car on the highway. The driver disappeared. Hit and run. By the time the ambulance reached the hospital, Daniel was barely alive. I remember the doctor's face when he walked toward us. I remember the silence, then the words that shattered everything. "I'm sorry. We did everything we could." Rachel held me while I collapsed. She cried with me, comforted me, stayed beside me through the funeral. Everyone praised her strength. No one noticed something I should have. Rachel wasn't grieving. She was watching, waiting. 4 nights after Daniel's funeral, I went into his office to collect his work files. His laptop screen lit up when I touched it. A message appeared. From Rachel. My heart skipped. Why was Rachel emailing Daniel? The message preview read, "Everything is moving exactly as planned." My hands trembled. Planned? What plan? I opened the email, but before I could read it, the door creaked behind me. Rachel stood in the doorway, watching me. Her expression was calm. Too calm. For a moment we stared at each other. Then she smiled. "Looking through Daniel's things already?" Her voice sounded normal, but something inside my chest tightened. That was the first moment I felt something I had never felt toward my sister before. Fear. Grief does strange things to the mind. At first, I convinced myself the email meant nothing. Maybe Rachel and Daniel had been discussing business. Maybe I was imagining things. But then the problems began. 3 weeks after Daniel's funeral, the board of Carter and Vale called an emergency meeting. That had never happened before. When I walked into the conference room, the atmosphere felt wrong. Cold. Uncomfortable. Rachel sat at the far end of the table, next to Michael Grayson, our biggest competitor. My stomach dropped. "What's he doing here?" I asked. Rachel spoke calmly. "He's here about the merger." "Merger? What merger?" Rachel slid a stack of papers across the table. "Our company has been experiencing financial instability for months. The board believes a partnership with Grayson Financial will protect the business." My heart pounded. That's not true. But then the board members began speaking. Losses, missing investments, bad financial decisions, all blamed on me. I stared at the documents in shock. "These numbers are wrong." Rachel looked at me sadly. "Emily, I tried to warn you. You've been distracted since Daniel died." The board chairman sighed. "For the stability of the company, we're appointing Rachel as temporary CEO." The room spun. The company I built? The company I sacrificed my entire life for? Was being taken away from me? And the person taking it was my sister. Over the next 2 months, my life slowly collapsed. Rachel took control of the business. Employees stopped calling me. Friends became distant. Investors avoided me. It was as if someone had quietly erased me from my own company. Rachel visited often. She brought groceries, checked on me, played the role of the caring sister perfectly. But one night everything changed. I received a message from someone I didn't expect. Daniel's old assistant, Claire. She asked to meet. When we sat down at a quiet cafe, she looked terrified. "I think Daniel's accident wasn't random," she whispered. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? Claire slid a flash drive across the table. I found emails between Daniel and Rachel. My hands shook as I plugged the drive into my laptop later that night. And what I saw destroyed the last piece of my heart. Daniel and Rachel had been secretly communicating for 3 years. Private meetings, hidden bank transfers, and one message sent the night before the accident. Tomorrow everything changes. The night I discovered the truth about Daniel and Rachel, something inside me died, but something else was born. Clarity. My sister had stolen my husband, my company, my life, and she thought I was too broken to fight back. So I decided to give her exactly what she expected. A weak woman. I stopped attending meetings, ignored phone calls, let Rachel believe I had given up. But behind the scenes, I began rebuilding. I contacted old clients, recovered hidden financial records, and slowly uncovered Rachel's real plan. She hadn't just taken my company, she had destroyed it from the inside so she could sell it to Michael Grayson and disappear with millions. But the darkest discovery came from Daniel's files. One document revealed something chilling. Rachel had hired a private investigator years earlier to investigate our parents' accident. At first, I didn't understand why, until I opened the final report. The crash that killed our parents had not been an accident. Someone had tampered with their car, and Rachel believed that someone was me. The night everything ended, I invited Rachel to the office. The board was there. Investors, lawyers. Rachel walked in confidently. You said you wanted to talk. I smiled calmly. Yes. I pressed a button. The projector screen lit up. Emails appeared. Bank transfers. Recorded conversations between Rachel and Daniel. Rachel's face turned pale. You were planning to sell the company and leave the country? I said quietly. The board erupted in shock. Rachel stared at me with hatred. You think you're innocent? She screamed. Then she said the words that shattered my soul. I know what you did to Mom and Dad. The room went silent. Rachel's voice trembled. I saw you that night. You argued with Dad about the business. You said you wished they'd disappear so you could live your own life. Tears filled her eyes. When they died, I knew it was your fault. My chest tightened. Rachel, I was 22. I argued with Dad, yes, but I didn't touch that car. She laughed bitterly. You expect me to believe that? I took a deep breath. Then I showed her the final piece of evidence. The investigator's complete report. The real culprit. Not me, not Rachel. Daniel. Rachel's eyes widened as she read. Daniel had sabotaged the car years earlier to gain control of our future inheritance. But the plan failed when our parents died instantly. Instead, he waited years, manipulating both of us, using Rachel's hatred, using my love, until he controlled our company. Rachel collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Daniel lied to me. He told me you killed them. I felt my own tears fall. 2 sisters, destroyed by the same man. Rachel whispered brokenly, I ruined your life for nothing. I looked at her for a long time. The anger was still there, but beneath it was something deeper. Grief. I spent my whole life protecting you, I said softly. Rachel cried harder. I know. The board removed her from the company that night. Rachel lost everything. Her position, her reputation, her future. But the hardest part wasn't winning. It was watching my little sister walk out of the building alone. Because revenge may destroy your enemy. But sometimes, your enemy is the person you once loved the most.